presentation or designated as future agenda items for board consideration.
Are there any students who would like to address the board at this time? Are there any members of the public who would like to address the board at this time?
Andrea Benning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. And I just wanted to address the curriculum for body safety that's being considered this evening. I would recommend that the board consider accepting the curriculum, but with an amendment or a resolution to include framework for adapting this program for students with special needs who may need a social story or visuals or sign language, something along those lines to make that curriculum accessible for them. That's something I also mentioned to the committee, and they were looking into exploring that a little bit further. I'm grateful that during the budget amendment discussion that was had, I think it was at the last board meeting, it's been a long time. I'm grateful that it was noted that the positions that were eliminated were due to vacancies or resignations and not due to layoffs or firings. So I'm thankful that that was made clear within that discussion. Along those lines, I'm wondering how the board and the administration is addressing staffing shortages and issues as hiring and filling vacant positions becomes more difficult everywhere, not just in education. I'm wondering how the district is being proactive in addressing these potential issues. I have a friend who once told me that hope is not a plan, and so I would think that it would be wise for the board and the administration to have plans in place for various staffing contingencies. I recently took a training that was put on by the state of Michigan called Parents Partnering for Change, and that was put on by Parent Leadership in Government. It was an excellent training. It was highly valuable. If you're serving on a committee or if you're on a board or in any leadership position, I really recommend it. It was definitely useful for strengthening leadership skills and even interpersonal relationships. So if anybody is interested, it's called Parents Partnering for Change. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Good evening, Rachel Hobbs. I understand that tonight is the evaluation of Brian. I just want to remind you that it is crucial that you guys charge him with working on the decline in enrollment. It's greatly affecting each and every one of our students and in a negative way. I wanted to follow up to the minutes from the last meeting, and in my public comments I asked for a couple pieces of information that somebody would respond to me, and I haven't heard back from the district. But I was curious as to if the district uses the EBSCO database. So if you could get back to me in writing, that would be great. And also, I did ask in my first public comment if the district had reached out to its council as to a legal opinion as the ACLU letter and these book challenges. So I'm curious to know what you guys have found on that and if that's been done. I look forward to your discussion on the book study. I've been finding some very interesting information, good and bad. Some of it's applicable to Milan. So I'm curious to know what you all have picked up on too. So thank you.
Thank you for the comment.
Hello, George Elder. First of all, I want to apologize to you guys for getting these threats to with your children's. And, you know, two wrongs don't make a right. But during the, I got the police report here. During the 2024 when I was up on stage with you three folks, I got a message, and I hope there's no kids here. People call on your social media, on the community social media, call me a racist homophobe. And I got a message sent to my Facebook message, call me a racist homophobe, and that they hope that my daughter finds a butch girlfriend and she takes her virginity with a big black dildo. Now, I filed a police report about that. Right here it is on the 20th. But then I get on M Live and I hear statements about, you know, that we're calling you guys groomers and everything. You folks are calling us racist, you guys are calling us homophobes, you guys are calling us book banders. You know, it'd have been nice if y'all would have told both sides of the story. You know, but you guys played the victim because you made a bad decision. So I would like you to take that in consideration, and I wish that you would have added this into your little interview with M Live. Thank you.
Thank you for the comment. Are there others?
Hello, my name is Lake Foster. I would like to follow up that guy's comments by saying I was also called a groomer and a pedophile and such things on the internet because of what I said in defense of the books 2 weeks ago. So no, it's not just you who's getting it. It's everybody. And maybe if we just accepted, what if we just listened to each other and just sat down and talked and just calling each other pedophiles, groomers, and that? Because I was getting blasted on the internet for nothing, literally. I was getting called a groomer, I was getting called a pedophile, all these things. And I'm 16. At least you're a grown man.
But when you put a minor child...
All right, sir, please address the...
So yeah, and also, you should, I was looking in the library and I noticed we didn't have a book called Catch-22. I think we should put that in the library. It's one of the greatest books ever written. It's written by Joseph Heller. Has a great story, teaches a lot. It's actually, Catch-22 is a term that's used very often these days in the American language. It's a very used proverb. And I think kids should know where it comes from, and it's not in the library. It's explicit in some areas because it's about the real world. It's about World War II. It's about what actually happens. It doesn't glorify anything. It's about the truth.
Thank you for the comment.
Kirk Damaris, good evening, guys and ladies. I just want to follow up the last or to both in some ways, in agreement that indeed the name calling comes from both sides, and I don't agree with any of it. So I think that's not some kind of trump card for either side to argue, if that makes sense, because it comes from both sides. So when it comes to that, I think that's, both have said what they had to say, and I think they have points. I want to stand with Mr. Elder also, as obviously a gentleman that stand on with some of these books that have been in our libraries, and I know some have somehow made their way out. But I do not in any way, I want to make sure you guys understand where I come from personally, and I think I can speak for most of the people I know personally stand in agreement with me on that side of the issue. Most of us that show up at this board meeting and have voiced our concerns are not people that would voice those threats to you guys, any of you guys. Regardless of whether a lot of these keyboard warriors follow through on the things that they say, most of the time they're very ignorant comments. However, I do not want to act like I'm taking them lightly, and I'm sorry that you received them, Ms. Macchio. It's not okay. Yourself either, Ms. Heike. It's not okay that you guys have received these threats. I want you to know that for myself. Neither side threatening anything like that. And I think when you have a divisive issue like this, you will have people that are passionate's not even a good word, that are just ridiculous in their passion and do not know how to handle themselves and have a conversation, voice their concern without taking it to a violent level. What I didn't like is that it was portrayed as though the folks that show up and voice their concerns here the way they should be are voicing those kinds of threats. And predominantly, those are not the individuals doing that. But I felt as if in the meeting, it was addressed in a manner as though either we are doing it or we're supportive of it. That's something I'm not okay with either. But I just definitely wanted you guys to know that's unacceptable. I wouldn't want that kind of thing to happen to my family. I wouldn't want to have those kind of concerns with my kids being in the community. So anyhow, thank you for your time.
Thank you for the comment.
Holly Blade. Yeah, so I'm in agreement with that. Obviously, I think everyone knows that the threats that were received were not necessarily from us or people that we're affiliated with. However, there definitely was the implication that somehow we were responsible for those. And I just find that pretty outrageous that anyone would sit up there and say that we are responsible for any kind of horrid, disgusting comments or messages that you guys receive. Obviously, we do not encourage that. We did not send them, and we did not ask anyone else to, or tell anyone that that was a good idea. So, you aren't the only ones. We're told that our kids should be ashamed of us, that hopefully they will kill us in our sleep one night. Your kids should become orphans. They should be better off than having a traitorous Karen piece of filth as a mom. I absolutely loathe you, and I don't even know you. Pray I never meet you. We could go back and forth all day with messages that we've received also. And none of us deserve it. You don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. These other parents don't deserve it, and neither do any of them. None of you deserve it. None of us deserve it. It's just unfortunate that in our society we have a lot of people who hide behind a keyboard and like to say some really horrific things, especially when they do us. The majority of them are not credible threats, but when they are, that's absolutely an issue. Meanwhile, we have a community member who was threatened in person at the very meeting, being shamed for you guys receiving threats. And he was threatened by someone sitting right near him in this very room. That is something that I think is absolutely disgusting. But again, I don't blame any of you for that. She's responsible for what she said. She's responsible for the things she's done. Same with me, same with you. Bottom line. So, when people get those threats, here's what we say. You have 4 options. 1, you can put on your big girl pants and ignore it. If you feel that strongly about the things you're doing, you understand there's going to be some people in this world who are going to come out at you and say these things. So you can just decide to move forward and keep doing what you're doing because you feel strongly about it. But if you do that, don't cry me a frickin' river. Just keep doing what you're doing and realize that I'm not responsible for it. That person's responsible for it. Number 2, as an elected official, you can change your position. If you're receiving a lot of negative pushback from your stakeholders about things that you're doing up there on stage, then maybe you should self-reflect on the actions and the votes that you're doing. Maybe there are a lot of people who are not in agreement. Number 3, if it's a credible threat, first go to the police. File a police report. I would support that wholeheartedly. Absolutely. Number 4,
Thank you for your
if you
comment.
don't like it, resign. Bottom line. But do not shame us into silence.
Are there others? Thank you for those comments this evening.